As we get ready to move the clocks forward, it's beginning to feel like a late spring championship weekend here in Baltimore. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Homewood Field, and welcome to another edition of the Johns Hopkins Lacrosse Pregame Show. Matt Lawrence with you here as we get ready for the Blue Jays to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions in about an hour and a half from now. 12 noon Eastern opening face-off from Homewood. You can watch that game live on ESPNU. Fans, before we get things going, we want to remind you that today's pregame show is brought to you by our partners at STX. STX is proud to celebrate 50 years of empowering higher performance in lacrosse, changing the game one product and one athlete at a time since introducing the modern lacrosse stick back in 1970. Check them out on the web at stx.com to see all of their gear, including the elite men's and women's equipment used by the top college and professional teams alike. STX is a proud sponsor of Johns Hopkins Lacrosse. All right, fans, we have a pivotal matchup today in the early parts of the Big Ten men's schedule. Johns Hopkins and Penn State each coming in with 1-2 records on the season. The Blue Jays looking to bounce back after an 18-10 loss last week at the hands of Maryland. Meanwhile, head coach Jeff Tambroni's club looking to pick up their second straight win after knocking off Ohio State last weekend by a score of 15-13. This has been a series filled with great matchups over the last couple of seasons. 3 of the last 7 meetings between the two sides have gone to overtime. Penn State has won each of the last 3, with Hopkins' last win coming back here at Homewood Field in 2017. For Johns Hopkins, junior Joey Epstein paces the Blue Jays with 10 goals so far on the season, while Connor DeSimone, the senior, ranks 9th in the conference and leads the team with 12 points so far in 2021. On the other side, junior TJ Malone paces the Nittany Lions with 9 goals and 5 assists to date. The 14 points this season ranks 7th in the conference. As we'll do during every Hopkins Lacrosse pregame show, it's time now for the Miss Shirley's trivia question of the day. Fans, remember, submit your answers over on Twitter at JHU Men's Lacrosse for an opportunity to win a $25 gift card to Miss Shirley's. Remember, you must submit your answers on Twitter at JHU Men's Lacrosse. All right, today's trivia question presented by Miss Shirley's. I just mentioned 3 of the last 7 meetings between these two teams have gone to overtime. Name the 2 Blue Jays to score overtime game-winning goals against Penn State. Once again, in 2 of the 3 overtime wins since 2015 for Johns Hopkins over Penn State, name the 2 Blue Jays to score game-winning goals for Johns Hopkins. Submit those answers over on Twitter at JHU Men's Lacrosse for an opportunity to win a gift card to Miss Shirley's. We're celebrating Healthcare Appreciation Day here on the Hopkins Lacrosse pregame show. The last 12 months during the COVID pandemic have been a tumultuous time for so many across the country and so many across the world. But no industry has been hit harder and seen their world flipped upside down more so than the healthcare industry. On today's show, we'll hear from Dr. Roger Blumenthal, a 1981 graduate of Johns Hopkins, the director of the Ciccarone Center for the Prevention of Cardiovascular Disease, and a longtime supporter of Johns Hopkins men's lacrosse. We'll also hear from women's lacrosse alum Jennifer Fox. Jen is a nurse up in New York City, which was the epicenter of the COVID pandemic here in the United States. We'll hear from the 2 of them later in this show as we celebrate Healthcare Appreciation Day. But first, on the other side of this break, it'll be senior long stick midfielder Connor Delaney. Connor, a standout for the Blue Jay basketball team, now making the transition back to the sport of lacrosse, where he was a standout at Episcopal High School outside of Philly during his time back in high school. We sit down to talk about the decision to return to lacrosse and so much more here on the Hopkins Lacrosse pregame show presented by STX.
Johns Hopkins Federal Credit Union is a proud sponsor of Hopkins Lacrosse. We have served the financial needs of the Hopkins community since 1971. Visit us on the web at jhfcu.org for more information. Go Jays!
That ride share you took to the interview, it's rented. That sofa you sat on while you got your dream job, it's rented too. What you own are your opportunities. Court, furniture on your terms.
And I imagine it'll stay in this man's hands. They rise here at Tarble Pavilion. Down to 10. Ingram at attention defensively. Delaney with 30 points. Driving, rising, and hitting! Johns Hopkins! What a finish! Delaney, a player of the year type statement.
Well, I guess I'll go back all the way to our last game. I mean, it was tough to kind of end that way, but going and then having to go home was incredibly strange and difficult. But then just kind of as it progressed and not really knowing if we'd have a basketball season all fall. My mom actually put it in the back of my head that if you don't have a basketball season, maybe you want to think about asking Coach Milliman if there's a spot for you. We figured out that we wouldn't have a centennial season sometime in December, and talked to my mom and actually talked to my high school coach, Chris Bates, who coached with Coach Milliman at Princeton. So they're good friends, and he had a chat with Coach Milliman and called him later that night and told him I wanted to play. And he said, if you're ready to work, we'll have you. I mean, I've been playing basketball since I was 4 or 5, but I've been playing lacrosse since I was 8, so I've been doing both all my life. I guess I kind of got a little bit caught up in the nature of, oh, maybe you could go D1 for lacrosse, and that's a big deal. But then just, remembered what I had loved doing most all my life, and that was playing basketball. So just kind of sticking to, what I, believed I loved, and just giving it my all was kind of the final, straw and wanting to play basketball. Yeah, before I talked to Coach Milliman, I knew I had to talk to Coach Loeffler and just kind of get his okay. And I was a little nervous on the phone with him, but he immediately just said, go for it.
I had thought about it, every year he's been here because he's just a very good lacrosse player and he's a super competitor. But when he called and asked, I just appreciated the fact that he took into account so many things when he made his decision. How would this affect him as a basketball player? How would this affect his teammates? How would this affect his program? He's poured a lot of energy and effort into being a great basketball player here, and it matters deeply to him. But for him, the opportunity to compete for the lacrosse team here, to help the lacrosse team here, and to challenge himself as a competitor, I just thought it was a no-brainer. And I was really happy for him, and I was excited that he wanted to do it, and I'm excited that he's doing it so well right now.
Before we go into the break, the feed across up top, long shot. How about that? Connor Delaney, the first goal for the senior. Guess what? Last year, he was playing basketball for Hopkins.
Do you remember the last time you scored a goal in lacrosse?
Yeah, it was my senior year in the Interact Challenge semifinals against Culver Military Academy. I scored an early one in that game from a long way out too. So
he takes a lot of pride in being a great teammate, and he cares deeply for his teammates. And one of the things you saw from him as a freshman basketball player was when he wasn't as vocal a leader because he was newer, he still was very much in conversations all the time with his teammates, taking an interest in them as people, helping them to get better as players, trying to help the team with whatever he could do. So you look at that and you go, that's going to apply right away as a lacrosse player too. He's going to try and make everyone around him better. And I think that's a great characteristic in a point guard, but it's a great characteristic in an athlete, is he wants to make everyone better. So I never had any doubt that he would be someone who integrated into the lacrosse team very well, very, very easily, because he's so committed to being the right kind of teammate and to making other people the best versions of themselves?
I was definitely nervous to come back and be with a new group of people, something that I really hadn't done to a competitive nature in 4 years. But basketball and lacrosse are such similar sports, and in terms of the position I play defensively, it's got to slide your feet, got to keep yourself in between your man and the goal. So I knew I had a chance to figure this out quickly and kind of surprise myself with how quickly I was able to get back into it. And to the second point, just continuing to work hard every day. Coach Costa has been amazing with our whole group and me especially, and Coach Anino too. Just pointing out what I can work on, lifting me up when I do good things, and I'm excited for the rest of the season and our whole group and how we can improve.
Connor Delaney, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck against the Nittany Lions this afternoon. I'm sure, being a Philly guy, you probably know a few guys and played against a few guys on this Penn State team. So best of luck this afternoon, and best of luck moving forward.
Thanks, Matt.
There's a fog out there, and it's calling you by name. It wants to wrap its whole self around you, make you forget who you are. But you won't forget. You've got to find your way through that fog, through the unknown. There's only one way.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Johns Hopkins Lacrosse pregame show. Blue Jays and Nittany Lions about 75 minutes away from getting started here at Homewood Field. You can watch that game live at noon Eastern on ESPNU. I'm joined now by a very special guest as we continue on with our Healthcare Appreciation Day. Dr. Roger Blumenthal joins us. He was a 1981 graduate of Johns Hopkins and the director of the Johns Hopkins Ciccarone Center for the Prevention of Cardiovascular Disease. Roger, thanks so much for taking the time out to join us on the pregame show. I know you're a very busy man, so we'll jump right into it. I just want to start with, I see you got the Blue Jay hat on. You're a longtime supporter of Johns Hopkins Lacrosse. For people that may be watching that may not be familiar with you, can you just talk to us a little bit about your background with Hopkins, your background, and your connection to the Blue Jay Lacrosse program?
Well, Matt, it's great to be with you. I'm a longtime ardent Blue Jay fan. To give the listeners a little bit of perspective, my dad and mom started taking me to games when Jerry Schneidman was a senior and Joe Cowan was a sophomore. And I went to Hopkins, and in my freshman year, I started writing articles for the newsletter about the Hopkins lacrosse team. And Bob Scott and Henry Ciccarone liked what I was writing. And together with Brian Goodman, who was one of Coach Ciccarone's close friends, they asked me if I'd like to work in the athletic department, travel with the team, and be assistant sports information director. So it was sort of the heyday of Hopkins lacrosse. We won 3 national titles. Our 4th year, we lost by 1 to UNC, and then Hopkins went on another run for a while there, and Don Zimmerman took over when Henry Ciccarone retired. So I've seen a lot of great Hopkins lacrosse games.
That's awesome. I like to hear that you were a part of the sports information office. That hits close to my heart. I want to talk, briefly, because this is, Healthcare Appreciation Day. The last 12 months for, people in your field, it has been completely flipped on its head. If you think back to last February and the start of the whole COVID pandemic, can you talk to us a little bit about maybe how your life has changed over the last year, and for people that work in the healthcare industry, what they have been through over the last 12 months, and how that has drastically changed the way that the healthcare profession has operated?
Well, Matt, I remember being at the Hopkins-Syracuse game with some Blue Jay alumni that I graduated with. Saw my son Ross play a great game the next day, Sunday, against Villanova. Then I came back for the Mount St. Mary's game, which Hopkins came from behind to win. And then a couple days later, we heard Ivy League canceled their schedule, and then the rest of college lacrosse shut down too. And it was a tremendous change in the medical center. I had so many of my colleagues pitch in and volunteer to work these extra shifts. We really didn't know how the virus spread. We didn't know if it was from tabletops. We didn't know if it was just respiratory. We were wearing all this personal protective equipment, PPE. We were wearing 2 face masks. We were trying to have face shields. And pretty much all our outpatient activities came to a halt, and we had to change to telemedicine. But the real heroes of this were the folks working in the emergency room, the coronary care unit, the medical intensive care unit, working extra shifts, nurses, phlebotomists, people in the lab really working so hard and pulling together. And I'm very proud of my colleagues at Johns Hopkins for trying to do as much as they possibly could to save so many lives.
Roger, I'll kind of leave you with this. I mentioned the Ciccarone Center at the top of this interview. Talk to me a little bit about the origins of that and what the center now kind of represents in its role in the healthcare profession.
Well, Matt, Coach Henry Ciccarone was a very close friend, and I was one of the pallbearers at his funeral. And he was sort of a cross between John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, Dick Adele, Bobby Knight. Very fiery guy, and was someone that really was the most dynamic person in the room. And he had his first heart attack at the age of 48, and sort of came out of the blue, but he had a high stress job when he was coaching. He had been a cigarette smoker. He did everything right after the first heart attack, stopped smoking, changed his diet completely. About a year later, he and I were supposed to play in a member guest golf tournament, and I got there and they told me he'd been having chest pain. Someone drove him down to Hopkins Hospital. He had another artery that closed down. And then again, did everything right. And then sadly, he had his third and final heart attack at the age of 50. And I thought that the best tribute to Coach Ciccarone would be to create a comprehensive research and clinical center geared to learning more about how an otherwise healthy individual could be struck down in the prime of his life at the age of 50. We officially started way back in 1990. So we've made enormous strides in learning what causes heart attacks and strokes and why heart disease runs in certain families. So I'm very proud of all that. And part of the thought process, Matt, was that we wanted to unite 2 of the things that Hopkins is known for: science and medicine and lacrosse, because when you talk to people around the country, they think Hopkins lacrosse and Hopkins science or Hopkins medicine. And I think we've done a great job in doing that.
Well, that's awesome. Dr. Roger Blumenthal, thanks so much for taking the time out to join us on the pregame show. I know you're an avid golfer, so I hope the golf game's going well and you can get out there this spring and hit the links and play some golf. Thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to having you back out here at Homewood Field.
Thanks so much, Matt. Great to be with you.
We are a team. We are a unit. We are a family. No, literally, we are a suburban family of football fans. That's our neighbor. Hi, Bob. And that's the inflatable screen we forgot to properly secure.
Pepsi, made for football. Watch it.
He needs surgery in the next 10 days.
Felt the shooting pain in my knee. Oh, I don't know what I did, but I did something. I stepped off to the side again and it buckled.
The plan is to get you to run again, and the plan is to get you back to where you were. We can fix this.
To know that I could be back out there.
You know, I'm way better now than I was pre-surgery.
Welcome to Johns Hopkins.
Dropping the ball on maintaining your health? Johns Hopkins Medical Imaging is here to help. With locations close to home or work, we make receiving Johns Hopkins quality imaging comfortable, easy, and stress-free. Whether you need a quick x-ray, a routine mammogram, or a diagnostic scan, our highly trained experts are committed to ensuring that you get the most accurate reading when it matters most. We offer a full range of medical imaging services and use the most advanced imaging equipment and technology. Make Johns Hopkins Medical Imaging your imaging facility of choice.
All right, we continue on with our Healthcare Appreciation Week, and we're joined by a very special guest. Jen Fox was a 2012 graduate of Johns Hopkins and a women's lacrosse alum from her days here at Homewood with the Blue Jays. Jen takes the time to join us from New York. Jen, thanks so much for taking the time out. We we welcome you on the show. Thanks for taking the time. I guess we'll start there before we get in to where you're at currently. Just I want to go back to your time here at Hopkins. What do you remember most about being a Blue Jay with the women's lacrosse team, and how did that kind of prepare you and set you up, for your life after graduation?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, God, I would go back in a heartbeat, probably not right back to the fitness test, but I enjoyed so much of all of my time there. My team, the most. The coaches also. I mean, Janine is like a second mom, which all the girls know, but I loved every moment about it. It was great. And I think probably the biggest thing that I took away from it, graduating and going into nursing school and then going into my career as a nurse, is just the teamwork aspect. So much of what I think any profession does, especially what I do as a nurse, is work as a team for, towards a common goal and just taking care of people. And so much of that is leaning on people that you work with. And so much of that foundation was built at Hopkins.
And we have Jen on, like I mentioned, for Healthcare Appreciation Week. Jen is a nurse up in New York City. So over the last, 12 months since the COVID pandemic hit, I have to imagine your world has kind of been turned upside down, at your hospital and your line of work. Can you talk to us a little bit about, some of the biggest changes that you've seen in your day-to-day life over the last 12 months, and just kind of what it's been like being a nurse during a worldwide pandemic?
Yeah, of course. And it's been crazy for obviously everyone, but being in New York has been insane the past year. I work in a children's ICU, so, but during the pandemic, we turned into an adult COVID ICU, which was obviously a huge, huge change for me. Professionally, I've never taken care of an adult. I've always been a pediatric nurse. So that was in and of itself a huge deal. But again, it was nuts. It was something that obviously everybody had to adjust to and kind of step up to. And I can't thank the people that I work with enough. It was an honor to be a nurse during the pandemic and take care of whoever you could take care of. But it was obviously, it was crazy. I don't know that I would want to go back to that anytime soon, but yeah, we turned into an adult ICU for about 3 months during the height of the pandemic in New York, just because obviously the healthcare world was completely overwhelmed. But yeah, it was nuts. Everybody got through it though. And yeah.
And I'm curious to kind of tie it back to lacrosse and athletics. And, when you're a part of a team, of a sports team, there's a side of like that selflessness where you're kind of doing whatever needs to be done to help the team win. And how you mentioned, taking care of adults for the first time growing up in this industry as, a pediatric nurse. Can you kind of tie in any, similarities between, what you've dealt with in your profession over the last 12 months to back when you were a part of a team with the Blue Jays?
My profession is so centric on teamwork and the ability to work with people and take care of people that I never thought that I would be taking care of ever. So being able to adjust and being able to lean on people that I work with, or like at Hopkins, like that I would play with, no matter if you were a starter or if you had an injury, or no matter what it is, the same thing applied to my nursing career is just, even in times where you never thought things would happen, you have to adjust very quickly. Being able to lean on people and work together to achieve a common goal was really, really important. And I definitely learned that first and foremost, on a team at Hopkins.
Jen Fox, thanks so much for taking the time out to join us. Best of luck, as we continue to move through this pandemic, and we thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, fans, now time for the Shaw Sports Turf weather report of the day. Shaw Sports Turf is a proud partner and synthetic turf provider for Johns Hopkins University. Shaw Sports Turf, more than a field. As you can see, a beautiful day here in Baltimore. Temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, mostly sunny, and the winds blowing out of the northwest at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. It should be a picture-perfect mid-March afternoon here in Baltimore as the Blue Jays get ready to take on the Nittany Lions. We're going to step aside one more time. When we return, we wrap up from Homewood Field. Johns Hopkins and Penn State coming up at noon on ESPNU. We'll get you the trivia winner after the break, and we'll wrap up on the Hopkins Lacrosse pregame show presented by STX.
Whether we're students, faculty, or staff, the JHU Social Compact is a way to keep all of us safe. You can read the whole thing by going here. As a community, we're committed to keeping an eye on our own health, reporting symptoms, covering our faces, indoors, outdoors, wherever we can, keeping our hands clean. Simple soap and water go a long way. Getting a green pass from the Pro Density app every time we head to Hopkins, and doing our part to stop the spread by testing, contact tracing, and self-isolation when it's needed. Now, there's a whole lot more to the compact that we can't cover here. So, to get a closer look, head to our COVID info site, covidinfo.jhu.edu/compact. JH needs you. Together, let's keep each other safe.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Homewood Field. We thank everybody for tuning in to today's Hopkins Lacrosse pregame show. We hope you enjoyed the show and our Healthcare Appreciation Day. Big thanks to Dr. Roger Blumenthal, Jen Fox. Thank you both so much for joining us on the pregame show. Before we get you ready for Hopkins and Penn State, first we have to announce the winner of our Miss Shirley's trivia question of the day. Once again, the trivia question: name the two Johns Hopkins players to score overtime goals against Penn State since 2015. The correct answer is John Crawley and Joel Tinney, two Blue Jay legends during their time here at Homewood. And the winner of today's Miss Shirley's trivia question of the day is Abby Reppin. Abby, congratulations. You have won a $25 gift card to Miss Shirley's. Reach out to us on Twitter and we'll be able to get you your gift card to Miss Shirley's. Enjoy that, Abby Reppin. Once again, everybody, we thank everybody for tuning in to today's pregame show on YouTube. We'll be back right here again next week when Johns Hopkins gets ready to take on Rutgers. It'll be Fan Appreciation Day on the pregame show. You should have received an email from our marketing director, Jake Lee, yesterday, but we're asking fans to send in their videos of support for this year's Blue Jays team. Let us know how long you've been a fan of Johns Hopkins. What's your favorite memory of being a Blue Jay lacrosse fan? Send those videos into us for a chance to appear on next week's show. Blue Jays and Nittany Lions coming up from Homewood Field in about 60 minutes from now. Opening face-off from Homewood at 12 noon Eastern. Watch that game live on ESPNU. Once again, we hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll see you right back here next week when Johns Hopkins takes on Rutgers. Enjoy the game this afternoon. The Blue Jays and Nittany Lions, 12 noon. Thanks for watching, everybody.